There is a silent conspiracy woven into the fabric of your everyday life, one so pervasive that you've never thought to question it. It dictates when you wake, when you work, when you love, and when you grieve. It measures your successes and failures in neat linear increments. It is the grand architect of human experience, the invisible tyrant we call time. But what if I told you that time as you know it does not exist? Not in the way you've been taught. Not in the way your clocks tick, your calendars flip, your body ages. The seconds, minutes, and hours that govern your existence are not fundamental truths of the universe, but rather a constructed illusion. A collective agreement so deeply embedded in consciousness that to challenge it feels like madness. Yet, hidden in plain sight are cracks in this illusion. Fleeting moments where reality flickers like a candle in the wind, revealing something far more mysterious beneath. These are the glitches, the moments when time stutters, warps, or collapses entirely, offering glimpses of a timeless reality. They are not errors in the system but rather revelations, subtle hints that what we perceive as an unbreakable laws, in truth, a mirage. Some experience them as déjà vu, that eerie sensation of reliving a moment that should be entirely new. Others encounter them in dreams, where years pass in what the waking world calls minutes. Some stumble upon them in meditation, where the mind slips free of chronology and touches eternity. And then there are those who, in moments of extreme crisis or ecstasy, watch time slow to a crawl or vanish altogether. These glitches are not anomalies. They are whispers from a deeper layer of existence, one where past, present, and future are not separate threads but a single, shimmering tapestry. Ancient mystics spoke of this. The shamans of old knew it. Even modern physics in its cold equations admits that time is not absolute but fluid, a dimension that bends, warps, and may even be reversible. Yet most of us continue to live as though it were an unshakable truth, a river carrying us helplessly forward. But what if you could step out of the river? What if these glitches are not mere curiosities but doorways, subtle invitations to perceive reality as it truly is? This is not an abstract philosophical exercise. It is a radical reorientation of being, one that dissolves the artificial boundaries between memory and prophecy, between cause and effect, between who you were and who you will become. To recognize time as an illusion is to awaken to a startling truth. You are not bound by it. You are not a prisoner of chronology. You are something far vaster, far stranger, a being capable of touching eternity in a single breath. These are not mere coincidences or tricks of the mind. They are fractures in the facade of reality, moments when the universe winks at you, as if to say, look closer, there is more than you've been told. The human experience of time is perhaps our most persistent illusion, a carefully constructed fiction so convincing we've mistaken it for reality itself. Like fish unaware of the water they swim in, we move through the chronology of our days, never questioning the fundamental nature of this medium that carries us from birth to death. Yet scattered throughout our lives are moments when this illusion falters, when the seamless fabric of temporal experience reveals itself to be woven from stranger threads than we ever imagined. These are not mere curiosities or psychological quirks, but profound revelations about the true nature of existence. Consider for a moment how we experience time in different states of consciousness. In dreams, the rules of chronology dissolve completely. We may experience years of dream life in what our waking world measures as minutes, or find ourselves moving backward through events with the same ease as forward. The dreaming mind recognizes no obligation to linear progression, effortlessly weaving together past memories, present sensations, and future possibilities into a tapestry that exists outside ordinary temporal constraints. This isn't merely imagination at play, but evidence of a deeper truth, that our fundamental awareness is not bound by the arrow of time we worship in waking life. Modern physics has quietly been dismantling our classical understanding of time for over a century. Einstein's relativity revealed time as elastic, stretching and compressing under different conditions of gravity and velocity. Quantum mechanics presents us with particles that seem to communicate instantaneously across distances, defying our notions of temporal sequence. Some interpretations suggest that at the most fundamental level, time may not exist at all, that what we perceive as the flow of time emerges from something more primitive, like temperature emerging from the motion of molecules. These aren't abstract mathematical curiosities, but signs pointing toward a reality far stranger than our everyday experience suggests. The mystics and sages of ancient traditions have long spoken of time as illusion. In the Hindu concept of Maya, in the Buddhist teachings of impermanence, in the Christian mystical vision of eternity, we find consistent threads suggesting that our ordinary experience of time is a kind of veil obscuring a deeper truth. The present moment, when examined closely, becomes elusive, always slipping away into memory before we can grasp it, always giving way to a new now that proves equally fleeting. This suggests that what we call the present isn't a point moving along a timeline, but something more like a standing wave in a river, maintaining its form while the water of experience flows through it. Synchronicities, those meaningful coincidences that seem to defy ordinary probability, offer another window into the illusory nature of time. When we think of someone moments before they call, when we open a book to exactly the passage we needed to see, when patterns repeat in ways that feel intentionally designed, we're glimpsing a reality where events are connected by meaning rather than sequence. These aren't supernatural occurrences, but moments when the deeper structure of reality becomes briefly visible, showing us that what we call time may be more like a vast network of relationships than a simple linear progression. The phenomenon of time dilation in extreme states, whether in moments of crisis, during meditation, or under certain psychoactive substances, further reveals the constructed nature of our temporal experience. Seconds can stretch into what feels like hours, or hours can pass unnoticed in what seems like moments. This variability suggests that time as we know it is less a fundamental property of the universe and more a way our minds organize experience, a framework we impose on reality rather than something inherent to reality itself. Perhaps most telling are those moments when entire groups of people remember events differently, what we've come to call the Mandela effect. These collective discrepancies in memory hint at a reality where timelines might not be as fixed as we assume, where the past itself may be more fluid than our conventional understanding allows. They suggest that what we call history may not be an immutable record, but something more like a story we're continually co-creating. These phenomena, dreams, physics, mysticism, synchronicity, time dilation, collective memory, all point toward a startling possibility. That time as we ordinarily experience it is a kind of consensus reality, a useful fiction we've agreed to believe in because it helps us navigate the world. But like any map, it's not the territory itself. The true nature of reality may be timeless in ways we're only beginning to understand, with our experience of sequence and duration being more about how we process existence than about existence itself. There is a story told in the hidden corners of physics departments and whispered in the quiet moments of meditation halls. A story about a universe that does not unfold, but simply is. Imagine, if you will, a vast library where every book exists simultaneously on the shelves, and what we call life is merely the act of reading one page after another, convinced this is the only way the story can be experienced. This is the deeper truth behind our four temporal glitches, each one a moment when the library reveals itself, when we catch glimpses of other pages being read, other stories unfolding alongside our own. Déjà vu becomes something far more significant when viewed through this lens. That uncanny sensation of repetition is not a malfunction of memory, but rather a fleeting alignment with the greater tapestry of existence. It is as if, for just an instant, the veil between parallel experiences grows thin, and we remember not just this life, but all its iterations across the infinite shelves of the cosmic library. The ancient Greeks spoke of anamnesis, the soul's recollection of eternal truths. Modern experiences of déjà vu may be touching this same phenomenon, their momentary disorientation actually being a profound moment of remembering, of putting themselves back together with aspects of their being that exist outside linear time. The elasticity of time in extreme states reveals another layer of this truth. When a car crash survivor describes their accident unfolding in slow motion, or a meditator loses hours in what feels like minutes, we are witnessing the malleable nature of conscious experience. These are not subjective distortions, but rather demonstrations of how perception constructs reality. The brain typically creates the illusion of continuous time much like a film projector creates the illusion of motion from still frames. But in moments of heightened awareness or crisis, the projector slows down, and we see the individual frames of our existence. This explains why children, with their less rigid perceptions of time, often feel like their summers last forever, while adults blink and find years have passed. The frames are being processed at different speeds, revealing time to be not an external constant, but an internal creation. Dreams have always been humanity's secret doorway to timelessness. The precognitive dream, where one glimpses events before they occur, is particularly revelatory. Consider the experience of a woman who dreams of a plane crash in vivid detail, only to witness the exact scene play out on the news days later. The conventional explanation would call this coincidence, but the deeper truth may be that in sleep, when the organizing principle of waking time releases its grip, the mind occasionally dips into the greater ocean of existence where all events float simultaneously. Indigenous dream cultures understood this well, viewing the dream state not as an escape from reality, but as an access point to a more fundamental reality where time's divisions mean nothing. Then there are the collective memory anomalies we call the Mandela effect, where large groups remember events differently from recorded history. These phenomena shake our assumptions about time's fixed nature. If time were an absolute, objective framework, how could so many people share identical false memories? The answer may lie in quantum physics' many-worlds interpretation, where every possibility branches into parallel realities. Occasionally, these realities might brush against each other, leaving traces of alternate histories in our awareness. Or perhaps, as some mystics suggest, the past is not fixed at all, but remains as fluid as the present, constantly reshaped by current consciousness. Either way, these effects force us to confront the possibility that history itself is not the solid ground we imagine, but more like a story we're all telling together, subject to revision. What emerges from these narratives is a vision of existence where time is not the foundation of reality, but rather a lens through which consciousness experiences itself. The glitches occur when the lens cracks, when the light of a deeper truth shines through. They are moments when the universe winks at us, reminding us that the orderly progression of our days is a beautiful, useful fiction, but a fiction nonetheless. The implications ripple outward, touching everything from how we understand memory and identity to how we approach life's biggest questions about purpose and mortality. If time is not what we thought, then perhaps we are not what we thought either. Not temporary beings on a linear journey, but something far more mysterious and eternal, currently choosing to experience itself through the captivating story of moments passing. The realization that time may be far more fluid than we've been taught isn't just philosophical speculation. It's a key that can unlock profound changes in how we experience our daily lives. When we begin to treat time not as an absolute master but as a malleable medium of consciousness, everything from our productivity to our relationships undergoes a subtle but powerful transformation. Consider how differently we might approach our mornings if we truly understood that the rushed, hurried quality of modern life stems not from any actual shortage of minutes and hours, but from our collective hypnosis to time's illusion. The executive checking her watch every 5 minutes, the student cramming for an exam against a deadline, the parent lamenting how quickly children grow, all are participating in a shared dream of scarcity that evaporates when we recognize time's fluid nature. This shift in perception manifests most immediately in our relationship with stress and anxiety. The constant pressure of not having enough time dissolves when we realize that time, as we perceive it, is largely a creation of our own minds. Numerous studies on flow states, those moments of complete absorption where time seems to disappear, show that peak performance and profound satisfaction occur precisely when we stop watching the clock. Artists lost in creation, athletes in the zone, meditators deep in practice, all report entering a timeless dimension where hours pass like minutes while simultaneously containing lifetimes of experience. These aren't escapes from reality, but rather encounters with a more fundamental reality where our usual time constraints don't apply. By consciously cultivating such states through focused work, creative expression, or mindfulness practices, we can begin to live from this expanded perspective more consistently. The implications for healing and personal growth are equally striking. Traditional therapy often focuses on processing past traumas as if they were fixed events, but a timeless perspective suggests we may have more flexibility in how we relate to our personal histories. There are remarkable accounts of individuals revisiting childhood memories from an adult perspective and experiencing profound emotional shifts, not just in how they remember the past, but in how that past continues to live within them. This aligns with cutting-edge trauma therapies that help clients reprocess memories not as distant, frozen events, but as experiences that can be gently recontextualized in the present moment. When we stop seeing our life story as an unchangeable sequence, we open the door to rewriting our relationship with it in ways that foster resilience and transformation. Our social connections also take on new dimensions when viewed through this lens. The frustration we feel when someone is wasting our time or the anxiety of running out of time with aging parents reveals how deeply we've internalized time's tyranny. Yet when two people share a moment of genuine connection, lovers lost in conversation, friends laughing together, or even strangers sharing a meaningful glance, something remarkable happens. Clocks stop mattering. These are the everyday miracles that show us another way of being, where relationship exists in a timeless space that our usual measurements can't contain. By becoming more present in our interactions, we not only improve their quality but actually expand our subjective experience of time, creating the paradoxical effect of having more of it even as the calendar pages turn at their usual rate. The workplace, perhaps the most time-obsessed arena of modern life, becomes ripe for revolution when these ideas are applied. The standard 8-hour day with its rigid scheduling is based on industrial-era thinking that treats human beings like machines. Yet companies experimenting with results-only work environments, where employees are evaluated on output rather than hours logged, consistently report higher productivity, creativity, and job satisfaction. These successes point toward a future where we organize our collective efforts around natural rhythms of focus and rest rather than arbitrary time divisions. Even small changes like meeting-free days or flexible scheduling can create openings for more organic, timeless modes of working that honor how human creativity actually functions. Perhaps most profoundly, our relationship with mortality transforms when we begin to perceive time's illusory nature. The fear of death is largely a fear of time running out. But if time itself isn't what we thought, then death may not be either. Near-death experiences consistently report entering a state where linear time disappears, where they simultaneously review their lives and exist in an eternal present. Mystical traditions across cultures speak of consciousness continuing beyond the body's lifespan, not as some distant afterlife but as an ongoing participation in timeless reality. While these perspectives don't remove the natural sadness of endings, they can alleviate the existential terror that often accompanies our time-bound view of life. Living with this awareness doesn't make us careless with our days, but rather more intentional, less concerned with counting time and more focused on making time count. Practical integration of these ideas doesn't require abandoning clocks or calendars. Such tools remain useful for coordinating in our shared temporal dream. The shift happens instead in our internal orientation, in the quiet spaces between thoughts where we can sense the timeless awareness that underlies all experience. Simple practices like pausing periodically to breathe deeply and feel the present moment, keeping a journal of synchronicities and time anomalies we notice, or consciously entering flow states through creative or physical activity can all serve as portals to this expanded understanding. Over time, what begins as intellectual curiosity blossoms into a lived wisdom that transforms our relationship with existence itself. We find ourselves less hurried yet more productive, more present yet less constrained by the moment, living fully in time while remembering we're also beyond it. This is the paradoxical gift of embracing time's illusion. We don't gain more hours in the day, but we do gain the profound realization that we were never truly bound by them to begin with. We stand now at the threshold of a great remembering. The illusion of time, which has shaped human civilization, driven our anxieties, and framed our understanding of life and death, reveals itself to be far more malleable than we ever imagined. The glitches we've explored, déjà vu's haunting familiarity, time's elastic stretch in moments of crisis, dreams that slip the bounds of chronology, and collective memories that defy recorded history, are not errors in the system. They are the system itself cracking open, offering fleeting glimpses of a reality where past, present, and future are not separate, but intertwined in a vast, shimmering now. This is not merely an intellectual revelation. It is an invitation to live differently. Imagine waking each morning not as a slave to the clock, but as a conscious participant in the unfolding of experience. The deadlines, the aging bodies, the nostalgic longing for what was or anxious anticipation of what's to come. All of it softens when seen through the lens of timelessness. This doesn't mean abandoning responsibility or sinking into passive detachment. Rather, it means engaging with life more fully, unburdened by the illusion that moments are slipping away forever. When a parent playing with their child forgets to check the hour, when an artist loses track of dusk turning to dawn at their easel, when lovers linger in conversation as the cafe empties around them. These are not escapes from time, but encounters with what lies beneath it. The implications ripple outward, touching the deepest questions of human existence. If time is not the fixed arrow we've believed, then death itself transforms from an absolute ending into a transition between states of awareness. This is not a spiritual bypass of life's fragility, but a recalibration of our relationship to it. The flowers that bloom for a day and the mountains that stand for millennia are equally expressions of eternity, their durations merely different notes in the same endless song. When we grasp this, our fear of running out of time begins to dissolve, replaced by a quiet wonder at the infinite depth of each moment we're given. But how does one live this truth? Start by noticing the glitches when they arise, not as curiosities to dismiss, but as whispers from a deeper reality. When déjà vu tingles through you, pause and ask, what is being remembered beyond this moment? When time seems to bend in urgency or ecstasy, observe how your perception shapes the experience. Keep a journal of synchronicities, those moments when the universe winks at you through coincidence. Most importantly, cultivate presence, not as a mindfulness technique, but as a radical act of time travel. In the space between breaths, in the pause before speaking, in the stillness beneath thought, eternity waits. We are not human beings stumbling through time. We are timeless beings choosing, for a little while, dance with form and sequence. The clock's tick is not your master. It's a rhythm you've agreed to play with, a game you can step away from when the music no longer serves. This is the great liberation hidden in plain sight, that you were never bound by time's flow, only enchanted by its story. So let the enchantment lift. Let the glitches be your guides. And when you find yourself standing at life's inevitable crossroads, between what was and what will be, remember the secret whispered by every mystical tradition, every quantum equation, every timeless moment you've ever brushed against. There is only now. There has only ever been now. And now is where you meet yourself, whole and free, beyond all clocks, beyond all counting, forever.